See if this works. All right, buddy, I think we're live.
All right. Woo, baby.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard, guys. I saw Oklahoma's schedule. I was like, oh, my God. Welcome to the SEC.
Yeah, let's start right there then, Shane. And I was just telling you off air. I mean, we literally just started here, but
Yeah.
because I was making these graphics, posting them, getting them into this format we have here, I've not really even had a chance to digest these. So let's start with the two new additions. They just revealed this on SEC Network, the SEC schedule for the 2024 football season. And just a reminder, Shane, so that obviously this is not the upcoming season.
Right.
This is a year away, and they're not giving us the dates yet. So we don't know that either. So
Right.
just home and away. So let's start with Oklahoma. Throw it up. Look at that beautiful graphic, Shane. So
I worked all day on this.
Texas, that's listed technically as a home game, but of course that's at the fair. Remember, we covered this before. It's at the
We'll be
Texas
there.
State Fair. But my God, Shane. Alabama coming to Norman.
Yes.
Tennessee, Josh Heupel coming to Oklahoma. How about that storyline? Shane Beamer, he was at Oklahoma there for a while. South Carolina, they will be traveling to Norman, Oklahoma, and then away games for Oklahoma: Auburn, LSU, Mizzou, and Ole Miss, boy, Oklahoma. Get ready, put your big boy pants on. You know what?
Absolutely, man. I got a lot of Oklahoma followers now, and I've been reading, because I'm curious what they're thinking, and they're like, damn, I think reality's starting to set in a little bit. You look at teams like Texas, they got a Michigan scheduled, some non-conference games and stuff like that, and you see an Alabama, or every now and then you see a Tennessee, but then when you go back and you see all these SEC opponents, and what are these guys going to look like 2024? Can you go back to that real quick? That I want to look at this one, because when you're looking at some of these teams like LSU, Auburn, South Carolina, even Tennessee, some of these programs are technically still on the rise.
Right.
And then you got Texas, with Archman. I'm sure we're going to hear quite a bit of that in the future. Thank God not from Gary, because he's shipped out west. But yeah, this is a loaded schedule. It's going to be a fun schedule too. When you're looking at home games, I think this is huge for fans. As an Oklahoma fan, knowing that you're going to be seeing Alabama come to town, Tennessee come to town, South Carolina come to town. This is a good time to have some season tickets, brother.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and bash every schedule, but one issue I have with this one, Shane, no Georgia. And
Yeah.
the reason I believe they've only met one time, and it was that epic college football playoff, the Rose Bowl. So, I mean, they'll play Georgia probably the following season, but would have loved to seen that. And you love the fact that, they're keeping that Texas game going, maybe a little rivalry here with Tennessee building. So let's get to the Longhorns, Shane. Their first SEC schedule, and this thing was made for me, Shane. When we saw this schedule and it says Texas A&M, thank
Yes.
God. I mean, I was ready to go on a tirade and bash the SEC and bash whoever I had to get this game on the schedule. No more Twitter fight. Well, we're still going to have Twitter fights for a year, but now we have an official game. Again, we don't know the date, but Texas A&M in College Station, as Ross Bjork promised us, Shane. And then I haven't even looked at the home games. Florida, Georgia. Oh, my God. Oh, they're going to find out real quick, these 8-4 jokes. Those were fun while they were in the Big 12. That's, they're going to be stretching to get to 8-4 with this conference slate.
Yeah, Mike. And again, I think the big one is Texas A&M. It's at Kyle Field. We kind of thought this is where it was going to be. That's probably part of the deal. Hey, when they come over, the first game's going to be held down there in College Station. So I'm glad to see that on there.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, Texas, Georgia, what a matchup that's going to be. Texas, Florida. Hopefully Florida's in a better shape by then. looking at this, it kind of blows your mind because you're just trying to wrap your head around it. Like you see Texas or Oklahoma, they'll pop up ever so often. I'm looking at Arkansas. You know, remember how we had that game kind of on a pedestal? Well, that's just another ball game, you know. So I love this, brother.
And I think this is the thing Texas is in for a rude awakening, Shane, because we're looking at this schedule and we say, yes, we got to play Georgia, got to play A&M, got to play Oklahoma, of course. But what they're going to find out, Shane, this ain't the Big 12. You could sit here and look at Kentucky, Mississippi State. I mean, there are years Mississippi State wins 10 games.
Yeah.
There are years Kentucky does it. They've done it twice in the last 5 years. So there are no gimmies on this schedule for the Longhorns as Shane battles a fly over there.
Yeah, I forgot we're live. You can't edit this out. You know, but real quick on that note, you know, I got these. I bought them like right when we first started podding. I never used them, and I was like, man, we gotta get all fancified here for this this live broadcast, and I can't hear shit, Mike. So I don't know if I'm yelling. It feels like I'm yelling. So if I just get a little too carried away, you just kind of tone me down a little bit. Sorry about that.
Well, here's a tip for you, Shane. You're on your MacBook, right? Mm-hmm. Top right. This goes for all y'all out there. There's a very top right. Speaker up, speaker down. Hit that up a little bit there, and let me know if that's any better. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Was I yelling?
Yeah, but that's all right. We're used to it.
Well, I'm going to turn you down. I think you're a little too, because I was trying to match you, Mike. You know, like I'm standing in turn 4 at Bristol. You know.
All right, let's get to Alabama's schedule here, Shane. And hey, as predicted, man, it's a gauntlet here. I knew we were going to get this Georgia game. I didn't know where it was going to be. At least Alabama gets Kirby Smart and company to come to Tuscaloosa. That's going to be one hell of a game. That's the one everybody's going to have circled. Auburn, of course, great to see, keeping the Iron Bowl. We had to throw this in the damn garbage if they didn't have the Iron Bowl in the game. We're keeping Tennessee. Suck on that, Nick Saban. We're keeping LSU. This is what I told you, Shane. They're going to give them Georgia, but I also told you they're going to give them Vandy because we don't want Nick Saban throwing a fit over here. Also, going to Norman, Oklahoma. This is a damn gauntlet right here, brother, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. No, that's the first thing I thought. It was like, oh, I see Tennessee. I see Auburn. You know, I see LSU. And then on top of that, you're sending them away on 2 of those. So this was not Oklahoma. But this is not an easy schedule. And then you factor Georgia coming at home. Mm-hmm. Man, that's what everybody wanted to talk about on SEC Network, and rightfully so. This is a game sometimes we don't get to see like last year, and now here it is, 2024, and we're going to look at it. But I want to ask you something on this, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Because you and I have went on about the 9-game schedules and 8. There's plenty of plenty of news on there, but it feels like SEC kind of tipped their hat a little bit. You know, even if they do go to this 9-game format, when there's some of these teams that are in play. We talked about this being a bridge season. You know, so the fact that you see LSU, Tennessee, and Auburn on there, if we go to a 9-game format, do you think we're keeping those, right?
Yeah, I do. And that's why I said, Shane, we're not in favor of the 9, even though our buddy Dave Bartu's kind of swung me back to 8 a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. But, yeah, that's why I was not hitting the panic button, Shane, when we stayed at an 8-game schedule, because I said, let's wait this out, because I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to give us these rivalries, and that is exactly what has happened here. So, again, not a huge fan of the 8-game model, but they're doing it right, at least, giving us these marquee matchups, making it tougher for the teams at the top. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Let's get into Arkansas. They're making it more manageable, in my opinion, for an Arkansas. I think Arkansas comes out a big winner here, Shane. You get that Texas game you want, and you're getting it at home. Unfortunately, you're getting a loss because Tennessee's coming to Fayetteville right there. I'm already talking trash a year out. But that's a game we want, Shane. We want Arkansas and Tennessee every other year. 2 of the greatest fan bases in the country. Yeah. They never get to see each other aside from every 7th season. It's ridiculous. Give us games like that. Look at the aways schedule, Shane. Missouri, Mississippi State, Auburn, and Texas A&M. Now, I'm not sitting here saying you're going to beat all those, but I would not be stunned if you win all those. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this is a very manageable schedule. You get that LSU game at home once again. You're keeping that rivalry going. So I think Arkansas again, and no Bama,
Yeah.
no Georgia. Hell, there have been years they gave them both. You know,
That's right.
Neither one on the schedule here. I love this schedule if I'm a Razorback.
Absolutely. Compare this to COVID year. I think you'd take this in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? Arkansas fans are happy. Yeah, like you said, you don't have Bama, but you get to keep some of those rivalries that we love. I was afraid that maybe we'd lose one of them, maybe an Ole Miss, something like that. There's rumors of the LSU games, but we still got them. We still even got Mizzou, even though Arkansas won't recognize that as a rivalry, Mike. I think this is an awesome schedule, and I'm sure Razorback fans are happy. And to get Texas again at home. Come on now.
Yeah.
Remember the last time you had them up there?
Oh, yeah. Texas likes to forget that one. You know what?
That's right.
All right, how about Auburn, Shane? Again, a difficult slate, but that's the way it's going to be in the SEC. You get Auburn, Arkansas at home, Vandy at home, A&M, and Oklahoma. So some nice matchups. Unfortunately, this is the curse of playing Alabama and Georgia annually, and they're both on the road. But again, this is already something Auburn is accustomed to. But to your point, Shane, they did not take away the two great rivalries, the Iron Bowl and the Deep South's oldest rivalry there with Georgia. So even though we're staying at this 8 model, they are preserving these epic rivalries. So the SEC gets a huge thumbs up from me. And then, of course, Kentucky and Missouri also round out Auburn's schedule. What's your thoughts on the Tiger schedule here?
Yeah, man, and not to mention Hugh Freeze is building something down there. This isn't the same Auburn that we saw last year. Will not be the same Auburn we see in 2024. So yes, obviously Georgia, Alabama, those are always going to be 2 tough games. But when I'm looking at that home schedule, brother, it's manageable. You know, there's a chance that you can win down there in the Plains, and I think that's pivotal. And you're looking at no LSU on here. No Ole Miss. Some of those other teams that have been tough matchups, those go away because we don't have the division. So I think you're happy here as an Auburn fan.
All right, how about I got a weird order here, Shane, but
Yeah, mix it up. Let's
Tennessee, because I knew you wanted to see this one. And, man, people freaked out here too, Shane, but we
Yes.
nailed this one because they're keeping Bama. They're keeping Georgia.
Yeah.
They're keeping Florida. Just bring them to Murderer's Row here. I think the only disappointment, I really wanted to see Texas and Tennessee, but Oklahoma, I mean, that's a hell of a program too. So we'll just switch those out every year, I would imagine, for Tennessee. But the home slate, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi State. If I'm a season ticket holder, Shane, sign me up for that. And then the away, Vandy, Arkansas, Georgia, Oklahoma. Good luck with that, balls. But over and all, I mean, this is essentially the schedule Tennessee faces every year with those two behemoths.
That's exactly what it is. It felt like, hey, we got Alabama, we got Georgia. We always play them, so it doesn't feel new to us. Oklahoma just feels like one that floats around ever so often. So I'm not hitting the panic button. This is exactly what Tennessee's been playing. One thing I do like, and a lot of people have hit on this already, going to Oklahoma, you got Heupel, quarterback from up there. I think that there's going to be some awesome storylines. And it's a team that Tennessee just, you think about the last time they were in Knoxville, man, that one hurt. And even when we went over there, that's a tough game. And I think that we're a little bit closer. Oklahoma they were top shelf back then. And not saying that they're still crawling up as well. But I think Tennessee's a little bit closer now. So we should have a hell of a matchup in 2024 for sure.
Let me ask you this, though, Shay, because South Carolina, Tennessee, that has been building into a great matchup. That was rumored to be an annual matchup. If they went to 9 games, it's not on the 2024 schedule. I don't think this makes that a terrible schedule, but what's your thoughts on South Carolina, Tennessee not playing for the first time since, I have to imagine, the early 90s?
Yeah, no, that one's going to take some getting used to. Again, we were losing some of this with the divisions going away, but And that's kind of what I led with the Alabama here. I think it kind of tipped the hat for your three opponents. Well, clearly it's not going to be South Carolina, or they would have been in this schedule, I would think, So that makes me happy, because I'm looking at you, Kentucky. I'm looking at you, Vanderbilt, and Alabama, potentially Florida. I don't know what's going on there, but I love seeing the Florida Gators still on there, because that's another rivalry that I grew up loving. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously losing South Carolina is big, but it's not – I don't think it's – I don't know. Different. You talk to different Vol fans, they've got a different ranking of who they find as an opponent, as a rivalry. Me growing up, it was always the Florida Gators. It was always Alabama. We hate everybody. We're Tennessee Vols. I mean, that's their stick. We really don't like any of them. But I'm glad Kentucky's on there. The bourbon bet stays alive.
Yep.
So we'd be able to still bet on that.
You're just getting more bourbon out of this schedule.
That's right. I'm going to milk it for all it's worth, man.
All right, how about Florida, Shane? Another big-time schedule here.
Yeah.
LSU at home, Kentucky at home, Ole Miss at home, Texas A&M once again at home.
Whew.
And they catch I don't know if you call this a break or what, but Georgia is scheduled as an away, but of course it's in Jacksonville. So only 3 true road games, Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Texas. And, I mean, just how glorious is it, Shane, that we're sitting here talking Florida at Texas as a conference matchup. Yeah. But this is a brutal slate right here.
Yeah, I love it, though. I'm looking at it, and, I thought we were going to lose LSU. There were some of those rumors. Me and you talked about potentially seeing Oklahoma on this schedule. Right. So kind of surprised we went with Texas right out of the gate. But, think about this, man. You're down there in Gainesville. You're a huge homer for the Florida Gators, and you're going to Mississippi. You're going to Austin, Texas. Just think about the road shows, or just the road trips that you're going to be able to make in the future as a Gator fan here. So, yeah, you've got a tough slate, but you got some really tough games at home, and I think that's important there in the Swamp.
And we're getting that Kentucky-Florida matchup. That stays on the schedule, Shane. That is developing into a nice little rivalry. So there's a lot to like about this Florida schedule, in my opinion.
Yeah, me too.
All right, how about LSU, Shane? Again, I mean, Murderer's Row, in a sense. You get Alabama at home. Great to see that stay. Ole Miss, that's a rivalry game. You're getting that at home. Oklahoma coming to Baton Rouge. How about that, Shane? And then they balance it out a little bit with Vanderbilt at home. And then the away schedule, very manageable, but not going to be any easy wins here. Arkansas, A&M, South Carolina, and Florida on the road for them LSU Tigers. Man, and they'll be going for a repeat of their national championship, too, with this schedule.
Look at that. Nice plug there, Mike. Yeah, big, bold take, Mike. I think it's similar to Tennessee. It's almost like another schedule for LSU. You're seeing the Alabamas. You're seeing the A&Ms, Arkansas. Some of these Ole Miss. I mean, it's almost like we just repeating here, but keeping that Florida rivalry was big. I talked about that when we were talking about the Gators. Having Oklahoma at home at Death Valley at night, jeez Louise. Oh, man, I don't even know. Can they bring a wagon down there that late? I don't know. I don't know what the rules are here. Are they able to go on the field with no, not when they're away team. I got to learn all this. This Texas and Oklahoma, I got to learn all these rules, That big-ass cow coming over here when Texas plays, is that?
He's not welcome in Athens, I'll tell you that.
Is it? Okay, yeah, that's right. You almost killed the dog down there.
All right, how about Mississippi State, Shane? Again, this is what I was talking about. I think, no disrespect to Mississippi State, but you're listed in the lower half, so you got a little bit more lower half of schedule. No Alabama. Mississippi State fans got to be thrilled about that. How about this home slate, Shane, for the Bulldogs? Missouri, Arkansas, Florida, Texas A&M, all manageable, winnable games at Starkville. Away, of course, we're keeping the Egg Bowl, thank God, but you're going to Oxford. Now, you do catch Georgia and Tennessee on the road and Texas. I mean, this is, man, the home and away is drastically different here from Mississippi State, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you were looking for the biggest winners though in this schedule, because there's no easy schedule. Everybody's got, I think they did really good job kind of mixing it up there. But
Yeah.
I think the Mississippi schools, I think they're on cloud nine right now. Coming out of home, you got Mizzou, Arkansas, Florida, Texas A&M again.
Yep.
I don't know what Arnett's program is going to look like, in 2024, but I would like to think that they're a little bit more competitive. So those could be winnable games. And then you do go on the road. Oh, buddy, it's a tough slate. That's the only thing, man. You may not want to go on the road. You may want to watch these at night, but I tell you what, that would be. Man, there's some good games. I'm just daydreaming now, Mike. I'm thinking about Mississippi State, Georgia. Yeah, you lost Alabama, but you pick up Georgia.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you take LSU off, but now you got Tennessee and Texas. So,
Right.
yeah, I guess it's a little bit of a wash there. But that home field, if you like going to Starkville, you got some good games on the docket.
Let me ask you this, Shane, because we'll get to Ole Miss in just a second, but neither Ole Miss or Mississippi State is facing Alabama.
Yeah.
And, for the most part, that's been a one-sided series in favor of Alabama. I realize Ole Miss has beaten them twice under Hugh Freeze, and, Kiffin at times has made that a close contest. But you think this is the SEC trying to balance this out a little bit more? And because, they'll catch them Alabama next year, so
Yeah.
it's not like we'll never see them again. But I kind of like the fact that, again, Nick Saban, he didn't want to go to 9. Well, this is the product of that, because you're catching some tough teams out of the East, and of course Texas and Oklahoma on your schedule. So it goes to your point that both the Mississippi schools, catching a little bit of a break here, not having to play such a one-sided series annually.
Well, I mean, like the NFL, you want things to be close. You don't want lopsided conferences, and it feels like at times in years past that's what we've had. Very top heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So giving these guys an easier schedule, and I'm saying that loosely. It's not you saw their away games. It's not an easy schedule, but if we have closer matchups, I think it's better for fan experience, and that's one thing that we got to wrap our heads around. It ain't going to be like your Papaw's SEC anymore. We're going to have 2-loss teams going to the college football playoffs. 2024, how many teams we're going to have in the college football playoffs, Mike?
12.
Right. So we don't need the 2 of the best out of the SEC. We may have 4 of the best out of the SEC coming up. We got 16 damn teams. So don't worry. We're going to have some losses on your schedule here, but day in, day out, every Saturday, we're going to have some awesome matchups in the process. So it's going to take a minute, and myself included. I'm looking at the schedule like, well, shit, we're never going to make it. But then I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah.
We just got to be top 4 in the SEC, and then we're going to the big dance. So
Right.
I love this.
And another thing, let's say Mississippi State or Ole Miss, because I just referenced them playing Alabama. That's the only reason I'm using them as an example. But they get hot, they go on a run, and they make the SEC championship. Because there's no divisions, they could face Alabama in the SEC championship. So we got to get away from, we can't have 2 West teams or we can't have 2 East teams. Mm-hmm. We're doing away with all of that. So you may miss Alabama, but you may see him in Atlanta. So let's get to Ole Miss schedule here, Shane. Again, Mississippi State at home, the Egg Bowl. That was a must. Mm-hmm. Kentucky, that was a little feisty one last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Georgia, so they're going to catch Georgia in back-to-back years. Lane Kiffin's paying for some tweet he put out there. You know what? Oklahoma, also at home. Arkansas, LSU, South Carolina, and Florida on the road. This is a tricky slate. There's not a layup on here for, Ole Miss is one that's played Vanderbilt annually. That's off the schedule now, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think, like I was telling you earlier, I think they got the biggest one here because you're catching Georgia at home, you're catching Oklahoma at home. These are your toughest 2 opponents, and I'm not knocking anything that Mississippi State or Kentucky has. I think they're going to be great too, but I'm just thinking years past, looking at the records, you got them at home. And LSU, Florida, or Arkansas, South Carolina, again, manageable games. And when you're talking about 16 of the SEC teams, I think they got an awesome balance here. I think Lane Kiffin's happy with this schedule.
Well, we'll find out. All right, how about Mizzou, Shane? You're getting Arkansas, that's still on your annual rotation.
Yeah.
That's at home. Oklahoma at home. Vanderbilt at home. And Auburn at home. There's no reason. I know Oklahoma, that's a tough one. Auburn, we don't know what we got under Hugh Freeze, but you can win all 4 of those home games. Away, Alabama, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Texas A&M. Again, I'm not sitting here saying they're going to be favored in 6 or 7 of those, but conceivably could win many of these football games. I love this schedule if I'm a Missouri fan. No Tennessee, no Florida,
No Georgia.
no Georgia. Oh, my God. Sign me. Drake's ready for this one. No wonder he was tweeting today.
I mean, obviously you got some rough ones away, but at home, brother, I mean, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Auburn, Vandy, come on now. I think they're happy. And that's one of the things we were worried about, going into this season. We're like, damn, Eli's got to get it together, if he's going to make a run at this thing, because the schedule's not going to get easier. And then this comes out and we're like, well, I mean, that's manageable. We can, I mean, we may have something here, but yeah, there's some awesome matchups here.
I think you may have predicted a 10-win Mizzou season early, Shane.
Is that it?
Yeah,
that's it. I did that with Texas A&M. Maybe I was one season off with Mizzou.
Well, speaking of the Aggies, Shane, let's get to their schedule again. The highlight for me, we're getting Texas at home. Cannot be more thrilled than that.
Yeah.
For the Aggies, for the SEC, and really, Shane, just for college football fans, because these two have never even met as SEC foes, yet this is already like a top 2 or 3 matchup that I want to see in 2024 because I'm a college football fan, Shane, and that game has been denied to all of us for far too long. LSU, you keeping that one also at home. Missouri, Arkansas, I love that home slate if I'm Texas A&M. And then also on the road, these are all manageable. Florida, Auburn, Mississippi State, South Carolina. We're keeping that South Carolina at least for one more year. Man, if I'm Jimbo and company, I love this one too.
Golly, that Texas A&M game. I mean, what's the trophy? I mean, surely they call it something. Do you know right offhand? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't know.
Guys, this is live. Usually we pause it and we come back and look like we know what we're talking about. But I know people are probably chirping right now, but this is the one that we've had circled for many, many years. We were mad, even before we knew Texas was coming in here, that this game's not been on the schedule. So I am totally pumped up. I cannot wait to see this one, brother. We have got to be at this game because this is going to be the highlight. That if we can even get tickets, Mike, we may not be able to afford it. I don't know. It's going to be expensive as hell, They're going to be sneaking people in there. Yep. Speaking of, you saw the Florida one on there. I think about the time Florida was down there and Dan Mullins, like during COVID, he's like, damn, they sound like they're sneaking them in there, about 30,000 people. There's only supposed to be 5. So that's another one I can't wait to see down there in the swamp. These are the matchups, Mike. These are the matchups we usually have to wait 8-10 years, it feels like, to see. We're going to see on a every other year basis. So I love that.
And maybe we shouldn't just be so focused on 2 teams, Shane, but in fairness, they've dominated the SEC for seems like 2 decades. Any schedule that does not have Alabama or Georgia feels like a winner, and that's what A&M got here. So that's another reason to be happy. Speaking of Georgia, let's get to the Bulldogs, Shane. Again, Florida listed as a home game, but of course that's in Jacksonville. So only 3 true home games. They're also catching Clemson in 2024, so big-time slate for the Bulldogs. Auburn at home, Mississippi State at home, Tennessee at home, and then away the big one, Alabama, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Texas. I mean, I just keep laughing thinking about Texas coming into this league, think that they're going to dominate it. And, oh, my God, they're in for a rough one. You know what?
Yes, absolutely. But again, this is a new fan base, man. This is going to take some getting used to, and we're going to be creating some rivalries with these guys. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Mike, there was no Texas A&M LSU matchup that I wanted to see. I mean, it's been a fun game to watch, but then it became a hell of a rivalry, and same thing with Texas. They're going to catch some of these guys, and it may be a Georgia every other year, but it's just going to be put on this pedestal, and rightfully so. This is going to be such a cool game to be. Like I was telling you earlier, season ticket holder. Damn, Texas is loaded. They're going to get to see the reigning national champs probably coming back in. So, well, I probably shouldn't say that.
They're not playing Shane.
Yeah, it's Tennessee. It's 2024. That's right. They play the year after. So Nico and company. No, this is cool stuff here.
All right, South Carolina, Shane. No Tennessee. We mentioned that already. But you're catching A&M, Ole Miss,
Yeah,
LSU, and Missouri at home. This is maybe the perfect example of the new SEC structure, because who in the world would have thought South Carolina's hosting those teams out of the SEC? And then going on the road, Alabama, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt. And immediately, Shane, the thing that stands out to me, no Florida, no Georgia. And we have already said Tennessee, but Florida and Georgia. When I think of South Carolina, I think of Florida and Georgia.
Yeah.
And I would have think if we go to a 9-game schedule, those are permanent rivals. So it's pretty interesting to me to not see either Florida or Georgia for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, or Tennessee. Yeah, it's kind of wild. Looking at this schedule, it seems fake. It just feels like teams we'd like to see them play. So, yeah, that's just going to take some getting used to. But again, you got A&M, you got LSU, Ole Miss at home. You got the Battle of Columbia's there at home. That's become one of my favorite matchups. And then you go to Lexington. You got Kentucky. I think that's going to be an awesome matchup. You got rid of Georgia, but you picked up Alabama. You got rid of Florida, but you got Oklahoma. So you still got Clemson on your schedule. South Carolina is still going to have one of the toughest schedules when it comes out. But, again, everybody does, and this is where we're kind of retraining our minds. We don't have to be the top dog in the East anymore.
Right.
Years past, it felt like if you lost one, you were out. I've watched many Tennessee Florida games and said, "Shit, we lost." Gotta wait till that's the old saying. We'll get them next year. That's the Tennessee saying. So South Carolina, yeah, they may drop one of these games, but if they catch some speed or momentum there on the back end of their schedule, then they're sneaking back into a college football playoff conversation. So, yeah, in top 25, there'll be plenty of top 25 opportunities. I guarantee you that.
All right, how about Kentucky, Shane? They're getting South Carolina, Georgia, Vandy, and Auburn at home. Some classic games they've played. Auburn that's a new one. Away, again, we're keeping that Florida game, keeping that Tennessee, got Ole Miss and Texas. Again, lower tier, at least the last 10 years in the SEC, you've got a more manageable schedule, which should create more balance in the conference. This is another classic example. If I'm a Kentucky fan, I'm pretty fired up that we can win, 5 or 6 of these, if not more.
Hell yeah, man. And all these away games. Look, you're going to be staying warm. You're going down to Gainesville. You're going to Lexington. Kentucky fans going to be happy. Ain't got to put them jackets on anymore. So, no, this is a good schedule here. I think Kentucky fans will be happy. I'm glad they kept Georgia. I'm glad they kept Tennessee. I'm glad they kept South Carolina. There's some games here. I was afraid they're going to lose, and I wish. I don't know. I'm looking at it, man. I don't see anything wrong with this one. Still got the Florida game. They nailed Kentucky's, man. They nailed them.
Still got that bourbon bet, that beer barrel. We got to bring that bad boy
That's
back,
the thing. When they were doing like the release, I was like, okay, so I'm trying to alphabetically figure out. I was like, oh, we'll find out through Kentucky. And now I saw Tennessee on there. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, we're keeping it, baby.
All right, last but not least, Vanderbilt, Shane, at home. Oh, my God. I mean, they kind of screwed Vanderbilt on this, so let's be honest.
Oh, well, they did. Yeah, they threw Vandy out there to please some of these people, like Nick Saban example, but they forget Vanderbilt is people too, They got families to feed too. Coach Lee, man, going to lose all his hair again.
Yep, so Tennessee at home, Bama at home, South Carolina at home, and Texas at home. So basically, I mean, this is true. I'm not trying to make a joke, but it's basically for those fan bases, Shane. That's a hell of a road trip to come come hang out with us
Yeah.
in Nashville. That'll be a hell of a time for all those Texas fans. They're going to love it. Away, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, and Missouri. Ooh, boy, they didn't do them any favors here, did they?
No. This is a gauntlet, man. You better get your SEC wins this season because 24 is going to be rough. So I mean, somebody had to play them, and I
Yeah.
think that's the case. And again, you are part of this conference, so I would hope with some of this restructuring because it's going to be money thrown around. Please God, Vanderbilt, please put some of it to your sports and your stadiums and your. There's no reason that you should not be competing in the SEC as well. Nashville's an awesome. I always talked about Nashville being a kind of a sleeping giant, and that's because of where it's at and what's around it. But there's just no buy-in, and now you're gonna get your ass smoked if you don't put some money towards your college sports. So golly. That or kick them out and get somebody else in here. No, I'm just kidding, Vandy.
So,
I
Shane,
love you.
this is obviously our first live show. You're probably not familiar with this. People can ask us questions. So, anybody got a question, I'll try to highlight it. Craig Goodwin, he said, "Hey, can I stay with you, Mike, on that trip to Vandy?" So, I'd love to see that. Also, Shane wanted me to throw out, because there's people that are going to be listening to this that are not live,
Yeah.
that are going to hear this tomorrow. We want to hear your reaction. Give us a call at the call-in line, 615-965-5152. But so give us your reactions to the SEC schedule. Let's see who we got. Any others? Vandy Ofer. Oh, come on.
Hey, let me
Pray
let me
for
do-
Vandy, says Joshua Bryant.
Hashtag pray for Vandy. Hey, I got one for you, Mike, real quick before we jump down that one. I thought this was interesting. It popped up right there at the tail end because not only are we going to have some brutal schedules in 2024, but there is also some teams that are already scheduled. Alabama at Wisconsin, Arkansas at Oklahoma State, Auburn, California. Florida has got every Florida team: Miami, UCF, FSU, Georgia, Clemson. You're looking at the rest of the schedule, and then you throw in, well, Georgia Tech High School. That's not going to be a big deal. Kentucky got Louisville. LSU got the other USC, the fake one. The UCLA. Ole Miss has got Wake. Mississippi State at Arizona. I guess that's Arizona State. Mizzou got BC, Boston College. South Carolina at Clemson, of course. Tennessee at North Carolina State. Actually, it's a neutral site game. And Texas going up to Michigan, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, and Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech. So don't forget, those games are going to be in 2024.
I apologize, Shane. Can you read me the Florida one specifically once again? Because I think did you say they're playing? Well, obviously they're playing Florida State.
Yeah.
They're catching some other Florida teams. Who does Florida got?
Florida's got Miami, UCF, and FSU. I just heard Tebow say they got 11 Division I, like Power 5 conference games. I don't know what
And
other.
yeah, because you got to remember, Central Florida, they're Power 5 now. They're in the Big
Yeah.
12, and that's LSU, A&M, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas. Good night. Who did that? What did Florida do for that? I don't know.
Oh man, I love it. Well, they're going to get Billy. Billy's either here or not, and 2024 is going to be the season.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you there. No, I appreciate everybody chiming in. I had Mike mute this thing because I didn't want to see, like, who's this fat ass? I'm like, damn, Mom, I'm still on here.
How about this real quick, Shane? We got Saints for Christ Nation. He wants to know, Kentucky, will they win at least 7 games? I don't know if he's talking about this year. Well, I'm already on record. I think they can win 10. So I think he's talking about this 2024 year. So let's go over that real quick, Shane. South Carolina, Georgia, Vandy, Auburn, Florida, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas. Well, let's give them can they win 3 of these conference games? Surely. I think they could win at least 3 of the home games. So they really just got to steal one of the ones on the road.
Yeah, I'm guessing he said 2024. And again, we don't know what these rosters are going to look like then. But
Right.
I would imagine South Carolina be a good coin toss game. Vandy should be a win. Auburn may be a coin toss. Tennessee, that's going to be a loss. Florida Gators coin toss. Yeah, I mean, you just got to get 3 because your 4 other ones, those are going to be your victories. So yeah, I think 7's very feasible.
All right, we got a question here, Shane. Oklahoma, do they win?
Wait, can you go back to that Kentucky one just real quick?
Man.
I know.
Okay, yeah.
I just, because that's one of the things a lot of people in my little corner get upset with Kentucky about their ease of schedule.
Right.
It's always like, man, Kentucky's got the easiest schedule. And it ramps up, so I think Kentucky's, we're trying to get to 7, try to get to 8. That may be the 10 that they used to get. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, the schedule is going to get tougher for a lot of these SEC opponents.
Now, we got a question here, Shane. Apologize, not looking at who asked it, but Oklahoma, will they win half of their SEC games? And I got the schedule up one more time. At home, well, technically neutral. Texas, is it neutral?
Yeah.
Alabama at home. Tennessee at home. South Carolina at home. On the road, Auburn, LSU, Mizzou, and Ole Miss. Brother, I don't know. I mean, I think right now, just what we saw last year from Oklahoma, I think 4-4 is best case scenario.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if this is 2023, I would say 4 games could happen, but what does that look again? What does it look like a year from then? One thing that's about like Oklahoma and Texas is they got a ton of money, man. This new life of NIL and basically paying to play.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the transfer portal. I think that's going to help programs like Oklahoma and Texas. So yeah, I would venture to say that they can easily win 4 games in 2024. But that's the kind of college football we're in right now, where you don't need 2-3 years to rebuild. You can, look at freaking Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. He does it every single year.
Yeah. Now, here's one from Dustin, Shane. How is Arkansas' schedule easier than any other year? We trade Bama for Texas. Are we seriously Alabama and Texas? Yeah. The greatest dynasty of all time.
Which one do you want?
And a team that's not won the Big 12 in over a decade. Yep, that's easier. And we draw Tennessee as our second West opponent. I get it. Let's throw up the Arkansas schedule here. Tennessee, that's not an easy game, but you're getting it at home.
Yeah.
There's no Georgia. This is significantly easier. I think that's a...
Well, I don't know significantly. That's you don't have Bama on there. So, yes, I would switch. If I was picking to play Texas or Bama, I'm going to play Texas right now. Mm-hmm. And the fact you got LSU and Tennessee at home, and even Ole Miss, I think that's the big one. Your toughest away games right now, and again, we don't know what it's going to look like a couple years from now, but A&M, you got Mississippi, maybe Auburn. Maybe Auburn's up. Missouri's kind of had your number, so we can't definitely overlook them. But I think this is a very favorable schedule, and it's more about home and away than it is the actual opponents.
How about this Hog Wild, Shane? He says, bold take, Arkansas goes undefeated in the SEC. There you go.
I love it.
And Jeffrey Lawson's asking, will Oklahoma still play Oklahoma State? No, unfortunately. That, to my understanding, is off the slate, and that's, kind of like Texas A&M. We lost that. We've lost Oklahoma State. Hopefully, they both come to their senses. I don't know the backstory because obviously I don't cover those teams, but it's my understanding that is not on the schedule, unfortunately. But hopefully they learn from, when Texas and Texas A&M take the field and it's as great. The fans unite and it goes crazy. Yeah. Maybe people like Oklahoma State will look at that and say, yeah, let's not rob college football of these great games. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right, let's see. Winding down here, Shane. Any other question? How good do you think Texas and Oklahoma in 2024? I don't know.
I will tell you this. With those two programs, definitely going to have a lot more attention from the SEC in this season. I mean, short of the Alabama game, I don't know how much Texas you watched, Mike, but I didn't watch much of it at all.
Right.
But I will be very tuned in this season because a lot of these players will be playing in the SEC the year after. So
Right.
I'm. But it's also a good time for them to kind of get their house in order. I think that's important. I know that they're bolstering up their line play. There's a thing. There's things you got to do to be competitive in the SEC. What worked in the Big 12 isn't going to work over here. So just kind of watch. I think that's interesting. And watching them on the recruiting trail, they've both been on fire. So that's not going to be a problem. And it boils down to talent, money, and fan bases. They got two of the best in the country. So these guys are going to be competitors for sure.
Yeah, and I would say two other things, Shane, that, the SEC has, I don't want to call it Big 12-ish, but it has transitioned from remember when Mizzou got in the league, they said, Georgia, that's old man football. Well, it was old school football. Now, a lot more, we're seeing more spread. We're seeing more Alabama, Tennessee, that was one of the best games we've ever seen.
100 points?
Right.
Yeah.
That's old school Big 12. So maybe they fit better. And the other thing I was going to say, Shane, remember when Texas A&M and Missouri came into the SEC, people like myself, we thought Missouri, they're going to suck. There's no chance they can compete in this league. They're not, dominating the Big 12. And what do? They came out and won back-to-back SEC East titles. So we could sit here and talk about it for another 365 days. We really don't know till they hit the field how they fit in, and they're going to hear about it, Shane. Now that the schedule's out, they're going to hear, oh, you're going to get your ass kicked by this team, that team. That's going to motivate them. They're going to have something to prove. The fans are going to be fired up. I mean, it's going to be a sight to behold. You know what?
Mike, is there any now that the list's out? Is there 2 or 3 games? I mean, me and you we kind of created a list places we want to go. Mm-hmm. Is there 2 or 3 games really standing out to you that you definitely are, I guess, looking forward to?
Number 1, Texas at Texas A&M.
Yeah,
that's cemented number 1. I don't care. They could both not win a game.
Yeah,
that's still number 1 in 2024. Alabama hosting Georgia.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's gonna be one to circle, no doubt. And Tennessee at Oklahoma. That's we'll see how good Oklahoma is, but that's got to be near the list as well. Are there any that stand out to you?
I think. Obviously the Texas one. That's Texas A&M. That's the one I keyed up first. But the Georgia Oklahoma. I think that's going to be an awesome matchup.
Yeah.
I hate to just keep saying those 2 teams because I think Alabama and Georgia is probably the biggest news out of all of this. It's what we've been wanting to see. So, and these programs are still going to be. I mean, they'll probably be preseason 1 and 2, I would imagine, in 2024. So Kirby and Saban maybe, or I don't know, maybe Saban retires when he sees his schedule coming out. He says, I'm going out. I'm going out this year. So I don't know. But those are the ones that stand out to me, brother.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect way to end it from Bubba, Shane. Dogs on top, back. He's got 2 trophies. Cry about it. That's his message. And oh, Lord, Texas and Oklahoma, they're going to find all about it in 2024. You got anything before we hop off the line, brother?
No, I mean, they got to start doing this stuff early. You can start seeing I'm starting to Shay, we usually knock this out about 2 hours earlier. It's like, now I'm like, all right, I got to go. But no, I think this is awesome. Again, for the listeners, loyal fans, appreciate everybody with the support. Mike, you're going to be out of town, right? You're going up doing the bourbon.
Yes, sir. So I'm literally, as soon as we're done here, I'm hopping in the car, driving to Kentucky, little Father's Day vacation. So looking forward to that. So we're not going to have any more shows the rest of the week, but we will be back on Monday with our fall preview series. That's going to continue, and give us some feedback on how you like the live show. Be honest. Maybe you hate it. Maybe, if majority of people hate it, maybe we won't do it anymore.
That's right.
I thought this was a great mix up. I love the interaction with the fans, and and there's a lot more we can do with this live show. I just didn't want to throw the kitchen sink in our first attempt, but
you're just talking about me. It's like, I don't want Shane's that overload. Do you know how I've been like doing computer shit all day? And I'm like, you sure this is right? Because it don't sound right, look right. But hey, it worked, brother. We made it to the tail end of this thing and didn't get in trouble, so I love that. Again, thanks for all the support. And if you guys have a chance, jump on there, That SEC Podcast on YouTube, on the whatever you get your podcast, hit the subscribe button. We really do appreciate that. Gonna have a lot more content coming from you. And this is a PSA. You mentioned it. We got Father's Day's coming up, so get those cards. You know, Cracker Barrels and the Walmarts and whatever gift cards you got to get, and get that old man something. He was there for you, so you need to be there for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And if this is your first time, please spread the word on the show. We do these, daily. And it's always going to be free. That's my vow to you. But we need help growing the show so that we can make this bigger and better. And we do it better every year. That's our pledge to the entire audience to continue to do that. But I can't thank everybody enough for showing up. Can't thank you enough, Shane, for not melting down live on YouTube. But that's all I got, brother. I'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go Vols.